Hello and welcome to the VickyCharles.com podcast for those of us who need just a little help with our blogging and social media. The show notes for this and all previous podcasts can be found at VickyCharles.com/podcast. And at the moment I'm giving out free social media tips. Just go to VickyCharles.com/social-tips and fill in your details, and then I'll email you 3 personalised action points for your social media. You can also sign up there for my mailing list. This week's episode, number 61, is 7 ways to get more Facebook fans. So welcome to episode number 61 of the VickyCharles.com podcast. This week's episode is 7 ways to get more Facebook fans. But before we get started, I just wanted to do basically bang on about what I always bang on about, and that is that it really is quality over quantity when you're looking at Facebook page likes for definitely. The same on any social media. I really believe that it really is a matter of quality over quantity. I don't believe that if you see a page with 7,000-8,000 page likes, I don't think that means that they are in any way superior to anybody else, or that they're even doing a good job. I think it's very easy to get 7,000 page likes. I always say to people, I tell all of my clients, don't join like ladders, and I'll actually leave a link in the show notes to a post I wrote about not joining like ladders. They also tell my clients, when you look at somebody else's page, perhaps a competitor or someone you're aspiring to be like, don't just look at the number of likes their page has. Look at their last 5-6 posts and see how much interaction those posts have got. You can only really judge a page by how much interaction it's getting, because you might have 10, 11, 12, 13,000 likes on your page, but if nobody is interested in engaging with you, then does that matter? You're not reaching any of them, so it really doesn't matter. I really think it's the difference between having 100 people who are hanging on your every word. They like every post, they comment on every post, they share your content, they buy your product, they read your blog, whatever it is you're trying to get them to do, they do it wholeheartedly every single time. And having 10,000 people who just you might as well be shouting or speaking quietly in the middle of the market square. You're not here. They're not hearing you. They're not interested. They're facing the other way. They're looking for the next big thing, and they're not interested. I think that's what happens when you join like ladders, is you get people who aren't interested, and that's bad enough. But then if you think, most of us, when we boost a post on Facebook, we pay to advertise to fans of your page and their friends, and at that point you're paying to advertise to somebody who really isn't interested, who doesn't care, who only liked your page so that the person next to them on the ladder would like their page. So you're paying them to advertise to someone who really doesn't care. They've got no interest. So for me, if I joined a like ladder in a group and I got people to like my page who were not parents, or parents who think hitting their children was a good idea, or people who are completely polar opposite to me, they're not going to be interested in my page. And if I try then and boost a post and advertise to them, they're still not going to be interested. Boosting posts only works if you're advertising, if you've got something good to advertise to people who are interested. I just thought I'd do a bit of a soapbox thing about that before we get started, because I think a lot of people think they need to have, I need to get more fans, I need more likes on my page. And certainly as a blogger, when you speak to PRs, they want to know how many fans your page has, but I always follow that up with, and in an average week I reach this many people, because I think your reach and engagement are much more important than just some arbitrary number. So the first way that you can get more Facebook fans is to tell your story. And I don't just mean, here's a link to my blog about my story, or here's a link to my YouTube channel where I tell you my story, or I used this product and now I'm fantastic, I've overcome that obstacle, so you should buy the product too and use my affiliate code, or any of those things. That's not what I mean at all. What I mean is, on a day-to-day basis, tell your story. Tell the story of your business, tell the story of your life, of your blog, or whatever it is you're selling. Show people your journey. Talk about, don't every day, don't do like every day, like this time last year I was blah blah blah, or this time 4 years ago, but every now and then mention what your story is, so that people can see where you've come from. Always assume that if you've posted it once, I think when you post on Facebook something like, it's definitely, I can't remember the number, but it's less than 10% of your fans will see your post, unless it gets really big and it's seen by and reaches lots of people. Less than 10% of people see your posts. So it's okay to post about the same thing. Don't copy word for word, but every few weeks you could post a similar sort of a post about your story or where you've come from. Or for me on my blog, I mention domestic abuse quite a lot, and I mention, my history of mental illness, my nervous breakdown, things like that, because you want to show people who you are and where you've come from so that they understand what you're talking about. The second way that you can get more Facebook fans is to post personal photos and updates. And when I say this, I always get people say, but my blog's anonymous, or but we're a company of 400 people, or but my company sells alarms, how can I be personal? Everybody can be personal, because you just show them that it's a human behind it. Show them that you're not some big money grabbing corporation that doesn't have a face. Show them the face of your company. All the clients I work with work in a small company or a small charity, or they work in a small part of a larger company, but ultimately you are selling yourself, or you're selling your story. You're selling the personal side of things. People want to see a face. They want to see that it's a real person. So, and as well, like examples I've used before, like things like there's always that cliche about bloggers kind of having their kids play with their new toy against the good wall so that they can take a picture. That's great, but for your blog, because you want your blog to be all pretty and styled photos and all the rest. But on your Facebook, it would be great if you showed kind of, I put this picture on Facebook, but here's the uncropped version with the dog in the corner, or the handprints on the wall, or something that shows people you're human, I think. And I will say, obviously, my house is a raging tip of mess, and quite often I post pictures of my daughter, and I might say to her, can you come and stand over here so I can take a picture away from that big pile of washing that I've not put away. But I think in most of my pictures you can see the mess in the background anyway, so I'm still being me. It's still real, and anybody who knows me knows that my house is a mess, and I don't much care. I just try to kind of not advertise it too much on the TV, on the internet. The third way that you can get more Facebook fans is don't promote. I don't know anybody who picks up a magazine and flicks to the adverts because they really want to see the adverts. I've spoken about Facebook's algorithms before, and the main thing you need to know about Facebook's algorithms is that they work in the favour of the person scrolling down their newsfeed. They want that person to have a good experience on Facebook, and they don't ever want them to leave Facebook. If you are promoting, then nobody's going to see your posts, because nobody is going to be looking for your posts. Nobody will be interested. So if you have a product to show off, be creative about showing it off, and show it, don't promote it. So if you're kind of, I don't know, if you make jewellery perhaps, and you make rings, instead of just showing endless pictures of an outstretched hand with a ring, show a picture of a hand stretching out to pick up an apple, or to pick up something seasonal that's related to if it's a national day or Halloween or something, something like that, so that you're showing your product, but you're not going, look, there's my product and there's really nothing else about me for you to know. There's only the product, that's all there is. Kind of show people, we're funny, we're quirky, we're kooky, whatever. But, show people that you can kind of see the funny side of it, and that you've got more to offer than just your product. Because realistically, these days on social media, if all you have to offer is a product, you may as well just pack up and go home, because you're not going to get anywhere with it. The fourth way that you can get more Facebook fans is to post viral content. Now, I always used to think, if that post has already gone viral, then there's no point in me sharing it, because everyone will have seen it. Or if I've already seen that post 3 times on my newsfeed, there's no point in me posting it, because everyone will have already seen it. Guess what? No, they haven't. There are probably still people in the world who haven't seen the lady with the Chewbacca mask on. Now, I think she posted that. That's a good example. Candace Payne, I think her name is. She did a live Facebook video outside of a shop when she just bought a Chewbacca mask that made a noise. She put it on her face and she laughed, basically just howled uncontrollably with laughter for a good few minutes. And that is now the most seen live video on Facebook ever. That woman, she's just a mum, she didn't have a business to promote. She wasn't trying to, get anything done. It was on her personal page. And now I think I saw something yesterday that she was on that TV show that James Corden does in the States. Like, now she could do whatever she wanted off the back of that. If she was media savvy and she wanted to, she really could, because millions of people know her face, or millions of people know her laugh, let's put it that way. Now, by the time I shared it on Friday afternoon, millions of people had already seen it, but as it happened, there are billions of people on Facebook, so although millions of people have already seen it, there's a good chance that some of the people on your page won't have seen it. And because that was really good quality content, even the people who had seen it didn't mind seeing it again because it was so funny and everyone was sharing it anyway. So my post actually reached about 1,000 people in the end. Or when I was making notes for this podcast, that post had reached about 1,000 people. So that's really actually quite good for a post on my page to reach 1,000 people, and all I did was share something that somebody else had put up. Now you can try and create your own viral content. My experience with that is that you never know what's going to take off and what's going to be a hit. I think my most popular post yesterday was a very genuine plea for help from me because I got a piece of lime stuck inside of a very expensive metal drinking bottle and needed some help to get it out. So you don't know what's going to... That wasn't a viral post, it was just the most popular, but you don't know what's going to go viral, really. You can't predict people's reactions. That lady sitting in her car outside of a shop certainly didn't think, oh, I'll go on Facebook and make a viral post. She just went, oh my gosh, I need to share this with my friends, it's brilliant. So... bear that in mind. You can try and produce viral content, but you can't always guarantee what's going to hit the mark. The best thing I find is to share content that is already quite popular, and don't ever assume that just because it's already quite popular, everyone on your page will have already seen it. For the most part, people haven't. People aren't on Facebook all day. Shock horror. Okay, I am, but a lot of people aren't on Facebook all day. So they haven't seen something that was shared at, midday. They've been at work all day, and they might see it on your page on the bus home. The fifth way that you can get more Facebook page fans is to schedule your content in blocks and then go in periodically to chat. And how does that help you to get more fans? It means you're spending more time chatting. If you can kind of put together a good strategy where you're kind of blocking time, so you might spend an hour here and there scheduling content for every few hours throughout the day or for the peak times from your insights. You can see when is the peak time to post. If you spend that time scheduling content, then you've already got content. So when you have a spare 5 minutes to go onto Facebook, you don't spend that posting something. You can spend it, replying to comments, replying to what people are saying to you, checking through and things like that. So if you've already got content there going live that's already live and is waiting to go live later, then you're not kind of spending that precious 5 minutes on your lunch break trying to look for content. You can just kind of keep a bank of stuff waiting to go live, maybe in a folder on your desktop, and share it on a daily basis. So then when you do find something, you just add it to that folder, and then you just update. You kind of set aside an hour or half an hour somewhere to schedule in a few posts. That everybody knows that when you kind of block time together, you spend less time doing something because you don't have the 5 minutes either side of every single post where you're trying to find what to do and you're going to get into the right place and blah blah blah, whatever it is that you do. Blocking time together gives you more time ultimately. So if you schedule a lot of your posts to go kind of over the course of a few days, then for the next few days, whenever you go onto Facebook, you can just kind of respond to comments and things. If you look at Joanne Dewberry's page, she's on holiday at the moment, and she has scheduled a lot of posts to go while she's on holiday to keep her page up and running, because she knows that you need to keep your page up and running. She knows what she's doing with her Facebook. And she makes no joke about it. She makes no bones about it. Sorry, she says. Well, I think one of her posts the other day was, "You're reading this because I put aside time to schedule posts. I'm on holiday at the moment." Kind of, trying to show people that this is the only reason you're reading this is because I'm on holiday, is because I went on holiday and I knew I had to do it. So scheduling content, it kind of can feel a bit icky sometimes, as if you're tricking people into thinking you're at your computer. But realistically, if as long as you're not kind of, trying to trick people by saying, I've just seen such and such on TV, when you haven't and you're not actually anywhere near your TV or your computer, then I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I tend to schedule posts every day, but I still put in kind of live content in between. So I'll schedule stuff throughout the day, but I'll also post Instagram videos, and I might post things, to keep things going as well. But then that does mean that the times that I then go onto Facebook, I have more time to comment and interact with people on my page. And that's what brings people to your page. And also, if you comment on my page, all of your friends see that you comment on it. If I reply to your comment, you might then reply again, and that shows all of your friends again that you've just commented on my page. So it works really well in that respect. The sixth way to get more Facebook fans is Facebook ads. Now, I remember the second time that I posted, I did a sponsored post on Facebook. I just did a quick boosted post because I'd written a blog post. I really only boost posts on my blog page for blog posts that I think might appeal to a wider audience. So I boosted this post, and a friend saw it on her timeline and screenshotted it and sent it to me and went, "Oh my god, are you paying to advertise now?" I was like, "Yeah, £3. Like, you can advertise really cheaply, and it doesn't mean that you're a failure or that you're icky or whatever. Just as long as the thing to remember about advertising is that you have to be, there's no point in you boosting a post that says, 'Hi everybody, how's your day?' Like, you need to give people something. You need to have a reason to advertise. So for me, if I've done a blog post that I think might be interesting to a wider audience, I think I did one. The best one I've ever done was I did one around Valentine's Day called "Why I'm Happy to Be Single on Valentine's Day," and I boosted that, and my page, my blog went mad, and my page got a lot more likes. But, you know, just be careful about what you're posting, and bear in mind, if you have, you know, been on Like Ladders and you've got a lot of fans who are like fake fans, not really your fans, then you're paying to advertise to them. You might not get a good response from your ad. But I always think a Facebook ad is a really great way of getting out to a wider audience when you need to. My 7th and final way to get more Facebook fans is to brand your images. Now, you might think that's going to take you ages or whatever, but you can put something together really quickly in Canva or PicMonkey, and brand your, you know, when you do those like little quote things and everything, just stick your kind of logo or your blog name or your website name or whatever on the bottom. And that means if people share your post, or they download your post and then share it on their page organically, then they're not gonna, you know, I don't see that as stealing. I share a lot of people's pictures and quotes and things. If it's got your blog name or your website or what have you on the bottom, then it's free advertising for you. And it means that people, if you think people kind of are stealing your pictures, then it kind of means, so what if they steal it? They're taking your name with it, and, you know, then hopefully it'll spread your name around the internet. And if people are consistently seeing pictures from you, they're more likely to like your page. Just lately I've seen an awful lot of pictures, I think, from Women's Own, and honestly I was like, wow, they post a lot of good pictures, I might like their page, because then it'll give me more things to share onto my page. So bear that in mind. Don't think of it as people stealing your stuff. See it as, if I put my brand on those images, then people are helping to get the word out about me. It's not stealing, they're actually giving you, you know, free advertising, and that's brilliant. So those were my 7 ways to get more Facebook fans. I apologise for the quality of this week's podcast. I don't have time to edit it. I've just done it all in one take. And yeah, I hope it's not too I do a lot of umming on these things, so I do hope it's okay. If you try any of these tips and you get on really well, or you disagree with anything I have to say, do please feel free to leave me a comment. I would love to hear what you think. Thank you so much for listening to the VickyCharles.com podcast. The show notes for this and all previous podcasts can be found at VickyCharles.com/podcast. And don't forget that at the moment I'm giving out free social media tips. So if you go to VickyCharles.com/social-tips and fill in your details, I will email you 3 personalised action points for your social media. You can also tick the box on that form and join my mailing list, where you will be sent a free download of social media tips. And you'll be on my mailing list, so you'll get loads of cool stuff sent to you. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back next week.